Best 10 horror games available on Steam. Hello and welcome to MoGame channel. There are games to fit any kind of mood. Sometimes you want to take on waves of enemies, other times you want a lighthearted story. One genre of games that just keeps growing is the horror genre, for when you want to feel a little scared. Whether you're a fan of horror in all its forms or you just get a kick out of fending off deadly monsters, there are plenty of games out there for you. Steam has a plethora of different horror games to try out. Here are the best 10 horror games available on Steam. So, enjoy the video. Number 10. Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's is a 2014 point-and-click survival horror game developed and published by Scott Cawthon. Five Nights at Freddy's has been around for a little while now, and in its time, it has enthralled and scared many different generations of gamers. Being an overnight security guard at a kid's pizza place may seem like a sweet gig, but the animatronics don't like to stay where they're supposed to. What follows is a tense series of nights where more and more things go astray. Solving the puzzle of Freddy's while staying alive is quite a thrill, though. The game also available on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch. Number 9. Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is an online asymmetric multiplayer survival horror game developed by Canadian studio Behavior Interactive. Sometimes your foray into horror is better with friends. For those times, Dead by Daylight has your back. This asymmetrical survival horror game sees a small group of survivors tasked with escaping a small map while a single killer stalks you. It's a pretty fun concept, especially if solo horror can be a little too scary. There are a wide variety of characters to play as, each with their own individual traits, which makes every gameplay a little different. The game also available on PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch. Number 8. Phasmophobia. Phasmophobia is a paranormal horror game developed and published by British indie game studio Kinetic Games. Sometimes you want to play a horror game with your friends that doesn't just require running and hiding. Phasmophobia sees you take an active stance in hunting down some ghosts. Whether you were always a fan of ghost hunting shows or not, Phasmophobia has a lot to draw you in. Use a handful of high-tech tools and some archaic ones too, in addition to teamwork to find out what ghost you're dealing with before getting rid of them for good. Just be careful, they won't go without a fight. The game also available on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. Number 7. The Forest. The Forest is a survival horror video game developed and published by End Night Games. Survival horror has been a booming subgenre for years, and it's easy to see why with titles like The Forest. An island, a mystery, and a handful of deadly mutants. It may be a stressful time, but it's not one you'll soon forget. The Forest is a game that blends a lot of different game mechanics with relative ease, and by the end of it, you'll just be wanting more. There may be plenty of games with similar island survival ideals, but none do it quite like The Forest. The game also available on PC and PlayStation 4. Number 6. Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is a 2023 survival horror game developed and published by Capcom. It is a remake of the 2005 game Resident Evil 4. The Resident Evil series has been a horror cornerstone for decades now, so much so that it has spread across media platforms. Resident Evil 4 is no exception to this rule. Lean Kennedy is back, and he's ready to spin-kick any undead he comes between him and saving the president's daughter. It's a plot that is so uniquely Resident Evil, but it also has a surprising amount of scary moments in a game that likes to play the humor card from time to time. The game also available on PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S.
Leads a girl. She's lost no matter what. Now that he has chosen death.
Number 5. The Mortuary Assistant. The Mortuary Assistant is a 2022 horror game developed by Darkstone Digital and published by DreadXP. Players control a newly hired assistant at a haunted mortuary. Few games balance narrative horror with subtle environmental eeriness quite like the Mortuary Assistant does. Riverfield's Mortuary may not sound like the best place to stay the night, but it's where you'll get the experience to put your mortuary degree to good use. Shame they didn't teach you about banishing demons in school, though, right? Don't worry, you'll have plenty of first-hand experience by the end of this game, if you survive. The game also available on PC and Nintendo Switch. Number 4. Outlast. Outlast is a 2013 first-person survival horror video game developed and published by Red Barrels. Outlast has been a big name in horror since it came out in 2013. There's a lot it has done to rocket the horror genre further into the mainstream. A defenseless protagonist, a spooky and isolated asylum, and an evil plot full of enraged monsters. There's a lot the game throws at you, but there's a thrill in this overwhelming nature. Body horror, survival horror, isolation, and plenty of other subgenres are at play here, and they all make for an experience that is top-notch horror. The game also available on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Number 3. Soma. Soma is a survival horror video game developed and published by Frictional Games. There are few places so uniquely scarier than the bottom of the ocean. Throw in some cybernetic experiments gone wrong, and you have Soma. You feel every second of how alone and fearful the protagonist of Soma is. That's how pervasive the atmosphere of the game is. Few games balance gameplay, story, and overall scare factor like Soma does. There will be plenty of times when the main quest you're on quickly gets forgotten as survival instincts take over. The game also available on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Number 2. Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Amnesia: The Dark Descent is a survival horror adventure video game by Frictional Games, released in 2010. Longtime horror fans will know the name Amnesia: The Dark Descent by heart. It has grown as a series since that first game, but it's far from too late to experience where it all started. Amnesia sees the protagonist suffering from, you guessed it, a bout of amnesia. Not everything is as it seems though. It has a surprisingly deep plot, some uniquely scary monsters, and a setting that adds to the gothic feel of it all. Amnesia has been a hot topic for how it approaches sound and creature design in horror. The game also available on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Number 1. Dead Space Remake. Dead Space is a 2023 survival horror game developed by Motive Studio and published by Electronic Arts. A remake of the 2008 game of the same name developed by EA Redwood Shores. Few names come up in horror as much as Dead Space. Honestly, space is one of the few settings that instantly provides a sense of loneliness and danger that is so all-encompassing. All-encompassing is a good way to describe Dead Space's horror. Every time you think you have a handle on the necromorphs and the terrors they cause, the game will throw something new at you. It's a masterclass in keeping you on your toes. From character design to an emotional story, all the way to the varied settings, there's a lot to marvel at in this game. The game also available on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S.
It's me. It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening.
Nicole?
So, those are best 10 horror games available on Steam. We hope this video is useful for you. If there are additional games that you find interesting to play, please add them in the comments column below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like and turn on the bell so you can be notified when we upload a new video. See you on the next video.